Hello and welcome to this exploring session, and today we are looking at Fair M, the miller's daughter of Manchester, with the love of William the Conqueror. So yes, this is a history play that is aiming for the level of accuracy, I suggest, of Braveheart. We don't know yet. We haven't read it, so for all we know, this is an entirely serious history play. I'm going to suggest it's not, but we're about to find out. It's an adventure, people. We are, considering the plays we've been reading this week, we have leapt 100 years in time. This play orbits the somewhere around 1590 in date and is ascribed to the Lord Strange's men, a company with a long and confusing history, which is potentially about to go horribly, horribly wrong a few years down the line. We have to pick apart this play. We're doing it over 2 sessions. It's not a long play. As it comes to us, and we have a room full of readers who are raring to get into a bit of history. So playing William the Conqueror himself, otherwise later known as Sir Robert Windsor, is...
You were going to say Wallace. Anyway, I'm Eric, and I'm here.
Reading Mountney today is...
Hello, I'm Lois Potter, retired academic living in London.
Reading the part of the miller and a messenger today is...
Hi, I'm Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
Reading Valingford today is... Muted.
Muted!
Okay, that's Tamara's name is muted today.
Sorry, I muted and then I unmuted and then remuted myself. Remuted. Anyway, I'm Tamara. I'm an actress, and when I'm not losing my mind, I'm in Germany at the moment.
Reading today, the King of Denmark, as well as Manvile today is...
Hello, Dan. I'm an actor based in Montpellier, France.
Reading the part of Fair M, as well as Blanche, today is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good. I'm a historian and I'm in Yorkshire.
Reading the part of Trotter, today is...
Hello, my name is Valentina. I am an actor and voiceover artist in London.
The 3-wheeled yellow van is conspicuously out of sight. Reading Dirot and Mariana today is...
Hello, my name's Lynn Freitas. I'm a writing teacher. I live in the northwestern United States.
And reading Lubeck today is...
Hi, I'm Francis Cox. I'm an actor living in Amsterdam.
And I think I covered everyone except myself. I'm Robert Crighton. I'm your host. I'll be reading stage directions and generally keeping things moving forward. And talking of a forward direction, we are going to start with, as I have it here, Act 1, Scene 1. And we have the entrance of William the Conqueror, Marquis Lubeck, with a picture. Mountney, Manvile, Valingford, and Duke Dirot.
What means fair Britain's mighty conqueror so suddenly to cast away his staff, and all impassioned to forsake the tilt?
My lord, this triumph we solemnize here is of mere love to your increasing joys, only expecting cheerful looks for all. What sudden pang then moves your majesty to dim the brightness of the day with frowns?
Good my lords, misconstern not the cause. At least, suspect not my displeased brows. I amorously do bear to your intent, for thanks and all that you can wish I yield. But that which makes me blush, and shame to tell, is cause why thus I turn my conquering eyes to cowards' looks and beaten fantasies.
Since we are guiltless, we the less dismay to see this sudden change possess your cheer. For if it issue from your own conceits, bred by suggestion of some envious thoughts, your highness' wisdom may suppress it straight. Yet tell us, good my lord, what thought it is that thus bereaves you of your late content, that in advice we may assist your grace, or bend our forces to revive your spirits.
Ah, Marquis Lubeck, in thy power it lies to rid my bosom of these thralled dumps, and therefore, good my lords, forbear a while, that we may parley of these private cares, whose strength subdues me more than all the world.
We go and wish thee private conference, public effects in this accustomed peace.
And exit all except for William and the Marquis.
Now, Marquis, must the conqueror at arms disclose himself thralled to unarmed thoughts, and threatened of a shadow yield to lust? No sooner had my sparkling eyes beheld the flames of beauty blazing on this piece, but suddenly a sense of miracle, imagined on thy lovely maester's face, made me abandon bodily regard, and cast all pleasures on my wounded soul. Then, gentle Marquis, tell me what she is, that thus thou honourest on thy warlike shield, and if thy love and interest be such as justly may give place to mine, that if it be, my soul with honour's wing may fly into the bosom of my dear. If not, close them and stoop into my grave.
If this be all, renowned conqueror, advance your drooping spirits and revive the wonted courage of your conquering mind. For this fair picture, painted on my shield, is the true counterfeit of lovely Blanch, princess and daughter to the King of Danes, whose beauty and excess of ornaments deserves another manner of defence, pomp and a high person to attend her state, than Marquis Lubeck any way presents. Therefore her virtues I resign to thee, already shrined in thy religious breast, to be advanced and honoured to the full. Nor bear I this an argument of love, but to renown fair Blanch, my sovereign's child, in every place where I be, where I by arms may do it.
Marquis, thy words bring heaven unto my soul, and had I heaven to give for thy reward, thou shouldst be throned in no unworthy place. But let my uttermost wealth suffice thy worth, which here I vow, and to aspire the bliss that hangs on quick achievement of my love, thyself and I will travel in disguise to bring this lady to our Britain court.
Let William but bethink what may avail, and let me die if I deny my aid.
Then thus, the Duke Dirot and Thurl de March will I leave substitutes to rule my realm, while mighty love forbids my being here. And in the name of Sir Robert of Windsor will I go with thee unto the Danish court. Keep William's secrets, Marquis, if thou love him. Bright Blanch, I come, sweet fortune favour me, and I laud thy name eternally.
And they exit. I think we've got enough to be getting on with to pause here. So it's intimated that the conquest has only just happened. It's relatively recent. We've just won, my lord. Why are you sad? And why is he sad? Well, it's all a bit embarrassing. And I sort of going, oh, he shouldn't be ashamed of being in love with someone. That he's in love with a picture. I can understand why he'd want most of the people out of the room. That's a bit awkward. That's a bit weird. Thoughts from the room on William and his love for this image. Who wants to leap in first? Lois.
Yeah, I think it probably opens rather dramatically, because I think doesn't William sort of come in and throw his tilting staff on the ground, and the others come rushing in after him? I mean, it's quite dramatic.
Mm. Yes. They're having some sort of celebratory tilt after the war. It all should be fun and games. Yes, I think you're right. That opening with quite a dramatic flourish. That's a really good note, Lynn.
Or melodramatic. Yeah. Or yeah.
Let's not melodrama.
It's not. It's a very loose sense of that word. It's it's soap opera is what it is.
Eric.
Well,
or William, my lord.
Well, I think I was just going to say that it's interesting because it doesn't rhyme like with everything else we've encountered this week. There's no rhyme in it. It's just like sort of there. Although it's in verse, it's not a rhyming verse, unlike, Nature or Fulgens and Lucrece.
What a difference 100 years makes. Yes, we are deep in the realm of oncoming blank verse. Other thoughts in the room about this scene, about William, and any initial thoughts? Francis.
Yeah, it seems to me that Lubeck kind of gives up Blanche to William rather easily.
Well, he is the king.
Yeah, I suppose so. But just to say, he doesn't do it without a fight.
He's a hero with coward's legs.
Helen.
This is the start of some chivalric tale, isn't it? The king disguising himself to seek his fair lady. I mean, my first thought was that Lubeck was flashing the picture around just in the hope of catching the king's eye.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing of, you know, Lubeck doesn't say that he, you know, it's a picture of his you know, of presumably a former patron of his, as it were. I don't know whether Lubeck, you know, has presumably come with William to be one of his invading overlords, but has connections in abroad. I don't know whether I misread that, Francis.
Yeah, well, the one thing, the stage directions at the beginning made me think that Lubeck was, you know, carrying around a painted canvas rather than a shield. So I was quite surprised when there was that line about Blanche being actually painted on his shield.
Yeah, so if they've all come from a tilt, and you know perhaps they've all got shields with you know pictures on, or blazons of various degrees. So you know we could open a production with all sorts of, you know, imagery and stuff if we, you know, really wanted to go all out and, you know, blow the budget. You know, because we don't know how many other people are on stage with these, you know, for the very opening of the scene. Everybody's got time to change into other costumes for the next scene, so we could really crowd that opening moment. Lois has already sort of hinted that it needs to be quite a dramatic entrance, so maybe there's all sorts of stuff we can put in there. Eric, then Francis.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by that shield line, because I thought, like, well, usually on a shield, at least in mythology, at least, you've got like the whole, you know, painted. You would paint something terrifying, like, I don't know, the Medusa, or at least in Greek mythology, or like something more, you know, groundbreakingly, I don't know, like that would petrify your enemies, not a beautiful woman. So I'm like, what exactly does this person look like?
Yeah, I'm assuming this is going with the courtly romance style that we're sort of getting a sense of here, is that this is not a shield for battle. This is one for a tilt display purpose. Francis.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask, was it a thing, a chivalric thing to paint the picture of your lady love on your shield,
or at least your patron's, you know, daughter, kind of thing. I mean, I'm not saying it's not weird. But, you know, maybe it has a cultural imperative that we don't know. Does anyone have much on courtly love? We're allowed to leave it, let it lie for the moment, and let future us worry about it. Lois.
Yeah, I think, well, for court tournaments, people usually had shields with devices, didn't they? I mean, sort of like emblems and imprese, you know, sayings in a foreign language and some sort of message. I mean, plays in which tournaments take place usually involve somebody reading a shield.
Yeah, well, maybe it's on the inside of the shield. You know, maybe it's for his own private look to keep his spirits up. Well, okay, that's getting even weirder. So I'm going to back away from that one. Alan,
is Lubeck actually employed by the king of Denmark as a sandwich board man?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was sort of what Helen was
advertising.
Was hinting at. You know, is this a deliberate sort of go, look, which foreign princess you might marry, sir? Helen.
I had a feeling that he might be the Danish ambassador.
Yeah.
Yep. That.
I mean, his title is from, okay, not currently, I think, in Denmark, but not far off.
Mm.
The borders were somewhat fluid.
Yes, and it will be an interesting question about some of the crossover of names and roles in this play, which we might find as we go forward. But I think we need to go forward. We've touched on. I think we've taken on that. It's sort of set up the A plot, and let's go on to the B plot or the A plot. This was the B plot. We'll decide later if that's how it's going. Act 1, Scene 2. Enter the miller and M, his daughter.
Come, daughter, we must learn to shake of pomp, to leave the state that erst beseemed a knight, and gentlemen of no mean descent, to undertake this homely miller's trade. Thus must we mask to save our wretched lives, threatened by conquest of this hapless isle, whose sad invasions by the Conqueror have made a number such as we subject their gentle necks unto the stubborn yoke of drudging labour and base peasantry. Sir Thomas Goddard, now old Goddard is, Goddard, miller of fair Manchester. Why should I not content me with this state, as good Sir Edmund Trotter did the flail? And thou, sweet M, must stoop to high estate, to join with mine, that thus we may protect our harmless lives, which led in greater port would be an envious object to our foes, and that seek to root all Britain's gentry from bearing countenance against their tyranny.
Good father, let my full resolved thoughts with settled patience to support this chance be some poor comfort to your aged soul. For therein rests the height of my estate, that you are pleased with this dejection, and that all toils my hands may undertake may serve to work your worthiness content.
Thanks, my dear daughter. These thy pleasant words transfer my soul into a second heaven, and in thy settled mind my joys consist, my state revived, and I in former plight, although our outward pomp be thus abased, and thralled to drudging, stalest of the world, let us retain those honourable minds that lately governed our superior state, wherein true gentry is the only mean that makes us differ from base millers born. Though we expect no knightly delicates, nor thirst in soul for former sovereignty, yet may our minds as highly scorn to stoop to base desires of vulgar's worldliness, as if we were in our present way. And, lovely daughter, since thy youthful years must needs admit as young affections, and that sweet love unpartial perceives her dainty subjects through every part, in chief receive these lessons from my lips, the true discoverers of a virgin's due. Now requisite, now that I know thy mind, something inclined to favour Manvile's suit, a gentleman, thy lover in protest, and that thou mayst not be by love deceived, but try his meaning fit for thy desert, in pursuit of all amorous desires, regard thine honour. Let not vehement sighs, nor earnest vows importing fervent love, render thee subject to the wrath of lust. For that, transformed to form of sweet delight, will bring thy body and thy soul to shame. Chaste thoughts and modest conversations are proof to keep out all enchanting vows. Vain sighs, forced tears, and pitiful aspects are they that make deformed ladies fair. Poor rich, and such enticing men that seek of all but only present grace, shall in perseverance of a virgin's due prefer the most refusers to the choice of such a soul as yielded what they thought. But ho, where is Trotter?
And here enters Trotter, the miller's man, to them, and they within call to him for their grist.
Where's Trotter? Why, Trotter is here, if you and your daughter go up and down weeping and lamenting and keeping a lamentation, as who should say the mill would go to your lamenting.
How now, Trotter? Why complainest thou so?
Why, yonder is a company of young men and maids keep such a stir for their grist, that they would have it before my stones be ready to grind it. But i' faith, I would I could break wind enough backwards so you should not tarry for your grist, I warrant you.
Content thee, Trotter. I will go pacify them.
I wish you will, but I cannot. Why, look, you have a mill. Why, what's your mill without me, or rather, mistress? What were I without you?
And here he taketh M about the neck.
Nay, Trotter, if you fall a chiding, I will give you over.
I chide you, dame, to amend you. You are too fine to be a miller's daughter, for if you should but stoop to take up the tall dish, you will have the cramp in your fingers at least 10 weeks after.
Ah, well said, Trotter. Teach her to play the good housewife, and thou shalt have her to thy wife, if thou canst get her good will.
Ah, words wherein I see matrimony come loaden with kisses to salute me. Now, let me alone to pick the mill, to fill the hopper, to take the toll, to mend the sails, and to make the mill to go with the very force of my love.
And here they must call for their grist within. Grist, grist!
Grist.
I come, faith, now you shall have your grist, or else Trotter will trot and amble himself to death.
Grist, grist! They continue to call within as he exits. Okay, there is so much here. So much here. It's suddenly got Norman yoke people. It's the overlords. Poor. Well, to be fair, the miller is just a whinging so and so, isn't he? I used to be Sir Thomas Goddard. Now I'm just known as Miller. Even my name prefix is just Miller. I don't get Sir Thomas. Oh no. All the old order's gone. I was a knight once, and. M briefly interrupts his monologue. Lois.
Yeah, I think there's a clue to a lost play here, though. He mentions Sir Edmund Grifford, who was apparently...
Trafford.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, Trafford, who apparently managed a flail, so he was a reaper or something. I mean, I don't know who on earth this is, but it sounds as if there must have been another play about this fallen lord doing some other menial job.
I don't know if it's quite that far. I think it's just world building, isn't it? All the lords have fallen to this estate. I'm a miller. There's someone doing some reaping. It's all awful. World's topsy turvy. Yeah. But he's just a miserable sod, isn't he? And it's the fact that Trotter sort of comments on it, and I'm just wondering about Trotter's lamentation. Is the miller supposed to be performed in a specific way, and that Trotter's mocking that, or is that just a textual problem? There's something interesting about that. Alan.
Well, the way I saw it was that in fact Trotter is basically got a speech impediment, or it's not dissimilar in some ways to some of the writing we've seen previously of the yokel characters.
But it's not carried over. It seems to be he's reacting to what he expects his master to be doing, his lamentation. So I think it's mockery rather than himself, because he doesn't sustain it. It's literally just for that speech. But yeah, it's that thing. How serious do we take the miller's complaints? Because at this point, we get a hint of a love interest, or at least a match. I don't think I'm going to mention love at this stage. Don't think we're going to go there. But it's interesting, just this whole thing about Trotter just going. Is are any of these ex-lords going to do any actual work? Is it just me?
Yeah.
Am I doing all the work? Yes, right.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of customers out back and they are not happy. Helen.
Traditionally, in the whole of Europe, millers were the byword for dishonesty.
You definitely see that in the Canterbury Tales, that millers were always suspected of telling you brought in less grain than you did, and Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, you can see it in local authority regulations for millers and all sorts of things. But it's in the whole of European literature. You know, the millers were the worst, but it doesn't seem to be. There doesn't seem to be any particular, so far, indication of that here.
No, he's just moderately incompetent, or at least, you know, he's sort of not doing the work himself. That's it. I think the customers probably believe that because they're really irate, aren't they? Lois, I saw a hand.
Yeah, I was just thinking that he's an amateur miller, so he's probably not a crook yet. He doesn't know how to be a crook. No one's
He's
told
above
him.
being a crook.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a knight, don't you know?
Yeah, right.
Once a night.
He's such a snob.
Yeah. Lynn.
He is such a snob, and then it just sort of strikes me as very weird that he's decided that his beautiful, accomplished daughter can marry their servant. Like, what is that about?
I wondered if that was a serious.
Yeah, I think that's
because he's got Manvile as you know a good match in his mind. So I think maybe he just keeps dangling that in front of Trotter so he does more work in a slightly disturbing way. I don't know. Alan, I saw a hand.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering whether we are actually in a bit of real history here, because if he's perceived as being a knight or an ealdorman under the previous Saxon regime, then yes, he would have had a fairly mighty fall from grace. And the miller's role, being a practical role, would probably have been a way of at least keeping an income coming in.
I'm just wondering about fall from grace in a more at the time contemporary view. I mean, are there such figures who might have existed who would have the same sort of fall from grace? You know, how much does social mobility work the other way in late Tudor? We don't have to have answers to that. I'm just spitballing here.
That's a good question.
So yeah, we've got two really interesting plot strands coming along here that are functioning together. It's the same universe. You know, this is all coming out of the conquest. You know, William's got some time on his hands. He's got time to be in love, having conquered the realm, and there's serious disruption to the status quo with the other members of the realm. So interesting things are going on here. I'm liking Trotter. How was Trotter for you, Valentina?
Yeah, I didn't expect the love part. I was really surprised when I was like, what is going on? But yeah, so far, so good.
Eric?
I was just going to comment on the prose, but I don't think we actually have we're not far enough into the text to be able to say why it would be prose as opposed to verse.
Yes, and there's always a question of whether it is actually properly formatted or not, or whether that is illusory or not. I mean, if he's technically the clown, then being in prose is not unusual. But I think it's right. We should be circumspect at this stage of the text. Helen?
M appears to be. I mean, we haven't heard enough from her to know where she is in this play, but she certainly says, "Nay, Trotter, if you fall a chiding, I will give you over." The implication being that there is some sort of relationship between them.
Well, I don't know if it's I mean, there's presumably a working relationship. She's in charge, so she might, give him a backhand, or something. I mean, you're right, absolutely. We don't have much text from Em. I mean, it's how she's reacting to her father's ridiculous monologue is where her performance really would come together, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get more evidence because we're still in Act 1 as it is laid out in this script. Act 1, Scene 3. We are off to Denmark, presumably, because enter the King of Denmark with some attendants: Blanch, his daughter Mariana, Marquis Lubeck, and William disguised as Robert Windsor. Huzzah!
Lord Marquis Lubeck, welcome home. Welcome, brave knight, unto the Denmark king. For William's sake, the noble Norman Duke, so famous for his fortunes and success that graceth him with name of Conqueror, right double welcome must thou be to us.
And to my lord the king shall I recount your grace's courteous entertainment, that for his sake vouchsafe to honour me, a simple knight attendant on his grace.
But say, Sir Knight, what may I call your name?
Robert Windsor, and like your majesty.
I tell thee, Robert, I so admire the man as that I counted heinous guilt in him that honours not Duke William with his heart. Blanche, bid this stranger welcome. Good, my girl.
Sir, should I neglect your highness' charge herein, I might be thought of base discourtesy. Welcome, Sir Knight, to Denmark heartily.
Thanks, gentle lady. Lord Marquis, who is she?
That same is Blanche, daughter to the king, the substance of the shadow that you saw.
May this be she for whom I crossed the seas? I am ashamed to think I was so fond, in whom there's nothing that my contents mind. Ill-head, worse-featured, uncomely, nothing courtly, swart and ill-favoured, a collier's sanguine skin. I never saw a harder favoured slut. Love her? For what? I cannot abide her.
Mariana, I have this day received letters from Swefia that let me understand your ransom is collecting there with speed, and shortly shall be hither sent to us.
Not that I find occasion of mislike my entertainment in your grace's court, but that I long to see my native home.
And reason have you, madam, for the same. Lord Marquis, I commit you unto your charge the entertainment of Sir Robert here. Let him remain with you within the court, in solace and disport to spend the time.
I thank your highness, whose bounden I remain.
And exit King of Denmark. Blanche speaketh this secretly at one end of the stage.
Unhappy Blanche, what strange effects are these that work within my thoughts confusedly, that still methinks affection draws me on, to take, to like, nay more, to love this knight.
A modest countenance, no heavy sullen look, not very fair, but richly decked with favour, a sweet face, an exceeding dainty hand, a body where framed of wax by all the cunning artists of the world, it could not be better proportioned.
How now, Sir Robert, in a study, man? Here is no time for contemplation.
My lord, there is a certain odd conceit which on the sudden gently troubles me.
How like you, Blanche? I partly do perceive the little boy hath played the wag with you.
The more I look, the more I love to look. Who says that Mariana is not fair? I'll gauge my gauntlet against the envious man that dares vow there with her compare.
Sir Robert, you mistake your counterfeit. This is the lady which you came to see.
Yes, my lord, she is counterfeit indeed, for there is the substance that best contents me.
That is my love. Sir Robert, you do me wrong.
The better for you, sir, she is your love. As for the wrong, I see not how it grows.
In seeking that which is another's right.
As who should say your love were privileged, as that none might look upon her but yourself.
These jars become not our familiarity, nor will I stand on terms to move your patience.
Why, my lord, am I not of flesh and blood as well as you? Then give me leave to love as well as you.
To love, Sir Robert, but whom? Not she I love, nor stands it within the honour of my state to brook corrivals with me and my love.
So, sir, we are through for that lady. Ladies, farewell. Lord Marquis, will you go? I will find a time to speak with her, I trow.
With all my heart. Come, ladies, will you walk?
All the plot thickens. The plot thickens. Henry VIII has been very sorry. William the Conqueror has been very disappointed by a picture. And then, even more awkward. He prefers the other one, who is the love of Lubeck. Oh no! It's all going on here. I mean, a lot of this is thankfully, I say thankfully, a lot of these comments from Robert Windsor there are asides, thankfully, because if he said some of those things out loud.
What
Yeah.
a bastard.
Yeah.
Internal thoughts, we all have them. We all internally can be a bit judgy. So, if he'd said it out loud to other people, then we might feel even worse for him. Doesn't mean he's not still a massively privileged git, but, he is the conqueror. So, he's not going to be... Kings aren't nice. Kings aren't nice, he said. I can just hear the audience reaction to all of that. Eric.
I was just gonna say there's a strong sense of deja vu since we did like the same scene in Fulden's and Lucrece last night, except a bit more coarsely written.
Yeah, there are similarities of love play. I don't think they were quite as brutal. In that they both loved the same person. They didn't swap halfway through.
Yeah. I am not impressed with William, man. He is like super shallow and fickle, and this is really interesting how this play is characterizing him.
Well, he is countenanced as the invading overlord, by at least other characters in the play. So it's not necessarily that fussed about being nice to him, Francis.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really like this plot twist that he's after Mariana, who's the love of Lubeck, and suddenly there's this conflict between the two boys. I was also wondering, how old was William the Conqueror when he conquered Britain?
I've actually no idea off the top of my head.
He'd got a fair number of kids by then.
Right.
Okay. Quite a few. I mean, he'd had to conquer Normandy first.
Right.
Yeah,
and he was
tiring.
long married to Matilda of Flanders.
Okay.
Busy guy.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that the historical figure of William the Conqueror is probably not much help to us here. But you never know. You never know.
He was 38
yeah.
in 1066.
But this particular character,
Well,
do we
that's
feel
middle-aged.
he's that old?
Yeah.
Or a bit younger?
At that time.
The stage figure.
Seems about 10, but I suppose he must be older.
I mean, in classic Hollywood films, that would be young for the kind of role he's playing.
Yeah. What I was wondering is, what are the women supposed to do? They don't hear that conversation, obviously. So they're just standing there.
It's fine. They just need to look pretty.
I mean, I'm sure we
Or
can give them
fail to
business.
look pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ooh, yeah. That's not one to put out in the casting call, is it?
I have a question about that, because in the chat, Alan brought up Anne of Cleves, and I was just wondering how well recorded was the fact that Henry was really not impressed by her, because I just feel like I'm watching the Tudors all over again.
That's a good question, actually. I don't know that it was not unknown, but I genuinely don't know. I don't know what Hollingshed would have said. I assume he got that far. You've got to be a bit careful when talking about Henry, but it's I genuinely don't know. Helen.
Well, I don't know either, because it's a little before my period, but the there's a guy who's done a study of what people talked about when they were drunk, because that's what got into court. And he reckons that the population of England was pretty well informed about what the royals were getting up to. They were usually completely and totally wrong, but they were very well informed in that they knew a lot.
Which makes sense.
Yeah,
Still
Alan.
I didn't realise Rupert Murdoch and his papers have been going quite that long, but
Well, I think
echoes.
I think we're probably going with the blogosphere here more than Rupert Murdoch. But you know, they're not that dissimilar these days. Anyway, I think we need to move forward, get a bit more evidence. But you know, we're still Act 1, and every scene's a roller coaster ride so far. So Act 1, Scene 4, enter Manvile, who we have mentioned, but I don't think we have. You know, I don't think he's said anything. He's been in a scene. Standing in the background, he's been mentioned in the scene, but I don't think he said anything. So Manvile enters alone, disguised.
I am the subject of my restless thoughts, the anvil whereupon my heart doth beat, framing thy state to thy desert. Full ill this life becomes thy heavenly look, wherein sweet love and virtue sit enthroned. Bad world, whose riches is esteemed above them both, in whose base eyes naught else is bountiful. A miller's daughter, says the multitude, should not be loved of a gentleman, but let them breath their souls into the air. Yet will I still affect thee as myself, so thou be constant in thy plighted vow. But here comes one, I will listen to his talk.
Yes, indeed. Manville stays, hiding himself somewhere. Enter Valingford at another door, also disguised.
Go, William Conqueror, and seek thy love. Seek thou a minion in a foreign land, whilst I draw back and court my love at home. The miller's daughter, fair Manchester, hath bound my feet to this delightsome soil, and from her eyes do dart such golden beams that holds my heart in her subjection.
He ruminates on my beloved choice. God grant he come not to prevent my hope. But here's another, him I'll listen to.
And enter Mountney, disguised as well. Disguise number 3, please. At another door.
Nature unjust, in utterance of thy art, to grace a peasant with a prince's fame. Oh, peasant am I, so to misterm my love. Although a miller's daughter by her birth, yet may her beauty and her virtues well suffice to hide the blemish of her birth in hell, where neither envious eyes nor thought can pierce, but endless darkness ever smother it. Go, William Conqueror, and seek thy love, whilst I draw back and court mine own the while, decking her body with such costly robes as may become her beauteous worthiness, that so thy labors may be laughed to scorn, and she thou seekest in foreign regions be darkened and eclipsed when she arrives by one that I have chosen nearer home.
What? Comes he too, to intercept my love? Then hie thee, Manville, to forestall such foes.
And with great alacrity, exit Manville before anyone else gets a chance to get in.
Ah, what now, Lord Valingford? Are you behind? The king had chosen you to go with him.
So chose he you, therefore I marvel much that both of us should linger in this sort. What may the king imagine of our stay?
The king may justly think we are to blame, but I imagined I might well be spared, and that no other man had borne my mind.
The like did I. In friendship then resolve, what is the cause of your unlooked-for stay?
Lord Valingford, I tell thee as a friend, love is the cause why I have stayed behind.
Love, my lord? Of whom?
The miller's daughter of Manchester.
But may this be?
Why not, my lord? I hope full well you know that love respects no difference of state, so beauty serve to stir affection.
But this it is that makes me wonder most, that you and I should be of one conceit, I such a strange, unlikely passion?
But is this true? My lord, I hope you do but jest.
I would I did, then were my grief the less.
Nay, never grieve, for if the cause be such to join our thoughts in such a sympathy, all envy set aside, let us agree to yield to either's fortune in this choice.
Content, say I, and whatsoe'er befall, shake hands, my lord, and fortune thrive at all.
And they exit. So two of them agreed, we'll see who wins, and the other one tried to get in ahead of them because he's probably a bit smarter. Audiences always, I think this is an important rule that we should all remember, is that a side-based correspondence can be overheard by others. We've always got to be very careful when we talk to the invisible audience in our lives, and just remember that someone could be listening. So yeah, I think Eric's point in the chat was really, really good. It's just they're all disguised, and Mountney just comes in and goes, "Oh, hi, Valingford." You could just hear Valingford going, "Oh shit." I think what's really refreshing here is their disguises are, as Eric said in the chat, a bit crap. Rather than just they put on some glasses and they're magically somebody else. Yeah, another really fun plot twist, extension of the plot. It's crazy around here, people. It's crazy. So, anyone want to leap in on this one? Valentina, your reactions were just in the video. It was just.
I got nothing to say. It's just so funny.
Anyone got any thoughts? Eric?
Again, it's that thing of like the A plot mirroring the B plot, like with what's it called something Clarice. Just saying,
Yes, it is the and it's the fact they're using the king as an excuse. Well, if the king can do this, then I think we all deserve a holiday to go off and do some worrying, shouldn't we? Monkey see, monkey do. Helen.
It's interesting that the king's plot hasn't stayed a secret. He only only the Marquis Lubeck got to know about it, but suddenly everybody knows.
Yeah. That's why conspiracy theories are always wrong, because everybody always knows when secret things are happening.
Yes.
Keeping things secrets just never works. Okay. Any other thoughts before we leap into Act 2? Okay. Act 2, Scene 1, and we're back in Millerland. Enter M and Trotter, the miller's man, with a kerchief on his head and a urinal in his hand.
Trotter, where have you been?
Where have I been? Why, what signifies this?
A kerchief, doth it not?
What call you this, I pray?
I say it is an urinal.
Then this is mystically to give you to understand I have been at the Fismicary's house.
How long has thou been sick?
I' faith, even as long as I have not been half well, then that has been a long time.
A loitering time, I rather imagine.
It may be so, but the Fismicary tells me that you can help me.
Why, anything I can do for recovery of thy health, be right well assured of.
Then give me your hand.
To what end?
That the ending of an old indenture is the beginning of a new bargain.
What bargain?
That you promise to do anything to recover my health.
On that condition, I give thee my hand.
Ah, sweet M.
And here he offers to kiss her.
How now, Trotter? Your master's daughter?
I' faith, I am the fairest. I am sweet, am fresh as the flower that hath pour to wound my heart and ease my smart of me, poor thief, in prison bound.
So all your rhyme lies on the ground. But what means this?
Ah, mark the device, for thee, my love, full sick I was in hazard of my life. Thy promise was to make me whole, and for to be my wife. Let me enjoy my love, my dear, and thou possess thy trotter here.
But I meant no such matter.
Yes, whose but you did. I'll go to our parson, Sir John, and he shall mumble up the marriage out of hand.
But here comes one that will forbid the banns.
And here enters Manvile to them.
Ah, sir, you come too late.
What remedy, Trotter?
Go, Trotter, my father calls.
Would you have me go in and leave you two here?
Why, darest thou not trust me?
Yes, faith, even as long as I see you.
Go thy ways, I pray thee heartily.
That same word, heartily, is of great force. I will go, but I pray, sir, beware you come not too near the wench.
And exit Trotter.
I am greatly beholding to you. Ah, mistress, sometimes I might have said my love, but time and fortune hath bereaved me of that, and I am abject in those gracious eyes that with remorse erst saw into my grief may sit and sigh the sorrows of my heart.
Indeed, my Manville hath some cause to doubt, when such a swain is rival in his love.
Were he the man that causeth this mistrust, I should esteem of thee as at the first.
But is my love in earnest all this while?
Believe me, it is not time to jest when others joy what lately I possessed.
If touching love my Manville charge me thus, unkindly must I take it at his hands, for that my conscience clears me of offence.
Impudent and shameless in thy ill, that with thy cunning and defraudful tongue seeks to delude the honest meaning mind, was never heard in Manchester before of truer love than hath been betwixt us twain. And for my part, how I have hazarded displeasure of my father and my friends, thyself can witness. Yet, notwithstanding this, two gentlemen attending on Duke William, Mountney, and Valingford, as I heard them named, oft times resort to see and to be seen, walking the streets fast by their father's door, whose glancing eyes up to the windows cast give testies of their master's amorous heart. This is noted and too much talked on. Some see it without mistrust of ill. Others there are that scorning, grim threat, and saith, there goes the miller's daughter's wooers, me, whom chiefly and most of all it doth concern to spend my time in grief and vex my soul, to think my love should be rewarded thus, and for thy sake abhor all womankind.
May not a maid look upon a man without suspicious judgment of the world?
If sight do move offence, it is the better not to see. But thou didst more, unconstant as thou art, for with them thou hadst talk and conference.
May not a maid talk with a man without mistrust?
Not with such men suspected amorous.
I grieve to see my Manville's jealousy.
Faithful love is full of jealousy. So did I love thee true and faithfully, for which I am rewarded most unthankfully.
And exit Manville in a hissy fit. Sorry, exit in a rage. M remains.
And so away. What, in displeasure gone, and left me such a bitter sweet to gnaw upon? Ah, Manville, little wottest thou how near this parting goeth to my heart. Uncourteous love, whose followers reaps reward of hate, disdain, reproach, and infamy. the fruit of frantic bedlam jealousy.
And here enter Mountney to M.
But here comes one of these suspicious men. Witness, my God, without desert of me, for only Manvile honour I in heart, nor shall unkindness cause me from him to start.
For this good fortune, Venus, be thou blessed, to meet my love, the mistress of my heart, where time and place gives opportunity at full to let her understand my love.
He turns to M and offers to take her by the hand, and she goes from him.
Fair mistress, since my fortune sorts so well, hear you a word. What meaneth this? Nay, stay, fair M.
I am going homewards, sir.
Yet stay, sweet love, to whom I must disclose the hidden secrets of a lover's thoughts, not doubting but to find such kind remorse as naturally you are inclined to.
The gentleman, your friend, sir, I have not seen him this 4 days at least.
What's that to me? I speak not, sweet, in person of my friend, but for myself, whom, if that love deserve to have regard, being honorable love, not base affects of loose, lascivious love, whom youthful wantons play and dally with, but that unites in honorable bands of holy rites, and knits the sacred knot that gods themselves—
What mean you, sir, to keep me here so long? I cannot understand you by your signs. You keep a prattling with your lips, but never a word you speak that I can hear.
What? Is she deaf? A great impediment. Yet remedies there are for such defects. Sweet M, it is no little grief to me to see where nature in her pride of art hath wrought perfections rich and admirable.
Speak you to me, sir?
To thee, my only joy.
I cannot hear you.
Oh, plague of fortune, oh, hell without compare, what boots it us to gaze and not enjoy?
Fare you well, sir.
Exit M. Mountney is left alone.
Farewell, my love. Nay, farewell, life and all. Could I procure redress for this infirmity, it might be means she would regard my suit. I am acquainted with the king's physicians, amongst the which there's one, mine honest friend, Senor Alberto, a very learned man. His judgment will I have to help this ill. Ah, M, fair M, if art can make thee whole, I'll buy that sense for thee, although it cost me dear. But Mountney, stay. This may be but deceit, a matter feigned only to delude thee, and not unlike, perhaps, by Valingford. He loves fair M as well as I. As well as I? Ah, no, not half so well. Put case. Yet may he be thine enemy, and give her counsel to dissemble thus. I'll try the event, and if it fall out so, friendship farewell. Love makes me now a foe.
And exit Mountney. Oh, there's so much more happening here as well. So many. Where should we start? Let's start with Trotter. Shall we start with Trotter's attempt to trick M into marriage by saying you'll his visual sick note. Shall we start with his visual sick note? I mean, I'm assuming the kerchief is more sort of wetted thing for a perspiring brow kind of thing, rather than a knotty handkerchief. And of course, a toilet bowl to denote his sickness.
I just picture him carrying around a modern big and I can't get that out of my head now.
No, it's a small glass bottle.
No, I know. It's just the image is...
You know, a chamber pot or bottle or something along those lines, rather than a whacking... I mean, I love the idea. I quite like the modern production, actually. Leslie, he's dragging it on. Sparks are coming out from the bottom of it.
Borrow Sammy's litter tray.
Yeah. But it's a really nice visual gag, and it's a really nice element to this scene of it's that idea of if someone promises to do something, they have to do it, and of course she's too sensible for that. Just goes no. And there's a sort of silly song which she to a degree gives us finishes off to say no, go away, so it really works really nicely as a sort of setup for the two other wooing scenes, shall we say wooing scene. I don't think we can call the second one a wooing scene.
It's a disaster.
Manville having overheard two other people, just turned into an arsehole.
Complete.
Ooh.
I quoted
My character Valingford doesn't even get the chance. He's just like, nah.
Well, who knows? Who knows? I mean, maybe 3 was enough for one scene, and they thought they need to temper this out a bit. But
Coming up.
yeah, I mean, at least Mountney is still, in his mind in the running. He's going to keep trying.
But you get blamed for M's trickery because she can't come up with that on her own. Sorry, no way she can think about that on her own. But you get mentioned at the end. It's like definitely that guy wasn't even tried.
Yeah, because Mountney has just basically gone, well, I'm going to renege on any deal we made with him because I need all the help I can get. So Mountney's a bit of a git there as well. A general depiction of gittishness and a lot of grace under fire from M there. She is handling that as well as can be expected, I think. Helen, I saw a hand, then Lynn.
Yes, I was thinking of Good Luck and the problem we had in a previous play, because the necessity for the woman to have the reputation of chastity as well as the reality of it. I'm talking about Manville's problems here, that she's been seen to talk with men.
In this case, she's not that. It's not that she's worried about her reputation in the same way. She's saying, "I have every right to just talk to a man."
Yes, she isn't worried in the way that the Christian Customs was worried, but nevertheless, the problem that the man has is the same. That he not only needs her to be faithful, but he needs the world to know that she's faithful.
And that's where this play does really speak to us today, because it's still some men just don't get it, do they? Lynn.
Yeah, I was just going to say what Robert said a minute ago, that the jerk vibe is really strong with these guys. You have the fickle William the Conqueror. You have this extremely jealous, overreacting Manville. And if we're comparing it to this situation in Ralph Royster Doyster, Good Luck's response was much more measured. He's like, I got to get to the truth of this, not like, you're cheating on me. I know you're cheating on me. You talk to other men. I'm going to stop having it off. Like, oh, Jesus, guy. Okay, be an adult. And then Mountney, like, not getting that she's like thinking she's literally deaf. Oh, yeah. The posh boys are not coming off very well indeed.
And there is that moment of M going, she actually was quite fond of Manville, and this does actually hurt her on a thing of that he's being such a jerk. Just trust me. I saw various hands. Lois first.
Yeah, I think what she's doing, I mean, it'll be clear, I have read the next scene, is Manville has told her that it's wrong for her either to look at anybody or to speak to anybody. And so she's actually acting on that. I mean, she's pretending to be deaf so that she doesn't listen to the person she's not supposed to listen to. And I think you'll see what happens in the scene after this. I mean, she's really picking up on what Manville said, which is the trouble. I don't know why she's bothering to hang on to him, but she does seem to be trying to.
Is that quite right? Because I was wondering about that stage direction when he turns to Em and offers to take her hand. I'm wondering if that's happening as he's speaking the next line rather than before the next line. Because it's fair mistress. If he's walking towards her, fair mistress, since my fortune sought so well, hear you a word, takes to her hand, she pulls away. What meaneth this?
Yeah.
Rather than that happening before the dialogue? I'm just wondering about the flow of that.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. No, I think it's just that she decides to play deaf so that that she can't seem to be hearing anything he says. I mean, it's part of. I think it's part of what Manville was going on about, that a woman can't be innocent even if she just listens to a man or looks at a man.
It's also she has no time for Mountney's speech. Or just the stage direction, which I didn't read out because Helen performed it so well, was here. M cuts him off. Just no, we're done. Tamara, I saw a hand.
Well, I just wanted to ask: is anybody else getting a déjà vu of another play we did with a woman who handled something about her suitors really well? Like weeks and weeks ago, I feel like we had another woman who was dealing with a bunch of men really well, and I can't remember.
I feel like I remember. I can't remember either, but it does ring a bell as well.
Now you're saying that's one to have a quick rummage between today and tomorrow and try and see if we can figure out which one that was. This is the disadvantage of doing all the plays, is you have to try and remember what happened in them. Dan.
Yeah, I kind of like. I guess I'll save that probably comments for the end about as we see how the play develops, but. It is to me to talk about just about the printing about this, about the stage directions. It's funny. It's noticeable how descriptive they are and how placed they are. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with the fact that probably he offers to take his hand could have been at the beginning there, but as we've seen in so many other places in here, it's talking about speaking secretly at one end of the stage, at another door. It's definitely striking how really specific everything is being laid out for this text here. I'm not going to comment further about why is that the case, but just something to note.
Francis, did I see a hand?
No.
Okay, Eric.
I was just going to go back to Trotter because the whole fresh as the flower thing, that reminded me of cartoons where they just kind of get the hand and it's like, yeah, fresh flower, that path for blah, blah, and all that stuff. And it's like, she just, blows him off.
Yeah, and quite rightly too. Okay, any additional thoughts on this so far? We will go forward into Act 2, Scene 2, and we're presumably back in Denmark. So enter Marquis Lubeck and Mariana.
Trust me, my lord, I'm sorry for your hurt.
Gramercy, madam, but it is not great. Only a thrust, pricked with a rapier's point.
How grew the quarrel, my lord?
Sweet lady, for thy sake, there was this last night 2 masks in one company, myself the foremost, the others strangers were, amongst the which, when the music began to sound the measures, each masker made choice of his lady, and one, more forward than the rest, stepped towards thee, which I perceiving, thrust him aside and took thee myself. But this was taken in so ill part that at my coming out of the court gate, with justling together, it was my chance to be thrust into the arm. The doer thereof, because he was the original cause of the disorder at that inconvenient time, was presently committed, and is this morning sent for to answer the matter. And I think here he comes.
Here enters William, or Sir Robert of Windsor, as he is disguised, with a jailer.
What, Sir Robert? How now?
If faith, my lord, a prisoner, but what ails your arm?
Hurt the last night by mischance.
What, not in the mask at the court gate?
Yes, trust me, there.
Why then, my lord, I thank you for my night's lodging.
And I you for my hurt, if it were so. Keeper, away. I discharge you of your prisoner.
And exit the keeper.
Lord Marquis, you offered me disgrace to shoulder me.
Sir, I knew you not, and therefore you must pardon me, and the rather it might be alleged to me of mere simplicity to see another dance with my mistress, disguised, and I myself in presence. But seeing it was our haps to damnify each other unwillingly, let us be content with our harms, and lay the fault where it was, and so become friends.
In faith, I am content with my night's lodging, if you be content with your hurt.
Not content that I have it, but content to forget how I came by it.
My lord, here comes Lady Blanch. Let's away.
Enter Blanch.
With good will. Lady, will you stay?
Madam.
And, exit Lubeck and Sir Robert.
Madam.
Mariana, as I am grieved with thy presence, so am I not offended for thy absence. And were it not a breach to modesty, thou shouldst know before I left thee.
How near this humor is to madness. If you hold on as you begin, you are in a pretty way to scolding.
To scolding, hussif?
Madam, here comes one.
And indeed, here comes one with a letter.
There doth indeed. Fellow, wouldst thou have anything with anybody here?
I have a letter to deliver to the Lady Mariana.
Give it to me.
There must be none but she have it.
Blanche snatcheth the letter from him and exit messenger.
Go to, foolish fellow. And therefore, to ease the anger I sustain, I'll be so bold to open it. What is here? Sir Robert greets you well. You, mistress, his love, his life. Oh, amorous man, how he entertains his new mistress and bestows on Lubeck, his old friend, a whole nightcap to keep in his wit.
Madam, though you have discourteously read my letter, yet I pray you give it me.
Then take it. There, and there, and there.
And with those there, she tears it and exit Blanche.
How far doth this differ from modesty? Yet I will gather up the pieces which happily may show to me the intent thereof, though not the meaning.
She gathers up the pieces and joins them.
Your servant and love, Sir Robert Windsor, alias William the Conqueror, wishes long health and happiness. Is this William the Conqueror shrouded under the name of Sir Robert of Windsor? Were he the monarch of the world, he should not dispossess Lubeck of his love. Therefore I will to the court, and there, if I can, close to be friends with Lady Blanche, and thereby keep Lubeck, my love, for myself, and further the Lady Blanche in her suit, as much as I may.
And she exits. I don't know how much potential there is of the jigsaw element of the letter, but you know, it's. I feel there's a joke there that can be done, you know, with that, which is slightly sadly lacking in the text. But yeah, Blanche is not in a good state. There, she's gone a bit Manville on us. Francis.
Yeah, Mariana's remarkably forgiving, seeing as how Blanche read her letter and then tore it up, presumably threw it in her face.
You know, friends forgive each other. You know, for these moments of these edofix. Helen.
Yes, I mean, Blanche has a certain advantage over Mariana in class. I mean, she's the daughter of the king, isn't she?
Yeah.
Well, who's Mariana? Have I lost?
I don't know if she was identified specifically. Was she? She may have been, and I missed it. Princess of Swathier.
Oh, well, in that case, yeah, she shouldn't be calling her hussif.
Mm.
It's two posh women having a row. Always a good place to avoid.
Yeah, I mean the messenger is presumably quite put out there, that and also probably presumably just runs away to the furthest distance imaginable once he's lost the letter.
Yeah, you can smell the burning shoe leather as he exits, I think.
Yeah, it's also really interesting, the whole Lubeck William conversation, because obviously a thing happened the night before. Lubeck's come in with his arm in a sling or something similar, and it's like they're pretending that it sort of happened to other people. Oh, did something happen to you last night? Yes, something happened to me. Did something happen to you last night? Oh, indeed. And then when they're out of the earshot of Mariana to a degree, it's like, shall we just all's fair? Are we even? Okay, and move on. That seemed to be how it played. It was a sort of quite a weird scene, but I liked it. Lois.
Now, we've clearly got one of those love and friendship plots, haven't we? Everybody is friends until they fall in love, and then they hate each other, and then they decide to be nice to each other, and then they hate each other again.
And Mariana has no interest in William at all. Eric.
That's what I was going to say. It's interesting how the women in this play, Mariana, Mariana and M mainly, are sort of taking it upon themselves to, either stay faithful to their love, or sort of mess up the lives of the people who are trying to court them because they don't like them.
Yeah, they are exercising their right to just tell people to sod off, and so far the play is not forcing them into a position where they don't actually have control as of yet. We live in hope that this play will resolve itself in a way that is satisfactory. So many options to be disappointed here, people. Okay, let's move on to Act 2, Scene 3, and it's the return of M. Enter M. Solar.
Jealousy that sharps the lover's sight and makes him conceive and conster his intent has so bewitched my lovely Mandevil's sense that he misdoubts his M that loves his soul. He doth suspect corrivals in his love, which, how untrue it is, be judge, my God. But now no more, here cometh Valingford. Shift him off now, as thou hast done the other.
And indeed enter Valingford.
See how fortune presents me with the hope I looked for. Fair M.
Who's that?
I am Valingford, thy love and friend.
I cry you mercy, sir. I thought so by your speech.
What aileth thy eyes?
Oh, blind, sir. Blind, stricken blind by mischief, hap. On a sudden.
But is it possible you should be taken on such a sudden? Infortunate Valingford, to be thus crossed in thy love. Fair M, I am not a little sorry to see this thy hard hap. Yet, nevertheless, I am acquainted with a learned physician that will do anything for thee at my request. To him will I resort and inquire his judgment as concerning the recovery of so excellent a sense.
Oh, Lord, sir, and of all things I cannot abide physic. The very name thereof to me is odious.
No, not the thing will do thee so much good. Oh, sweet M, hither I came to parley of love, hoping to have found thee in thy wonted prosperity, and have the gods so unmercifully thwarted my expectation by dealing so sinisterly with thee, sweet M.
Good sir, no more. It fits not me to have respect to such vain fantasies as idle love presents to my ears withal. More reason I should ghostly give myself to sacred prayers for this my former sin, for which this plague is justly fallen upon me, than to hearken to the vanities of love.
Yet, sweet M, accept this jewel at my hand, which I bestow on thee in token of my love.
A jewels, sir? What pleasure can I have in jewels, treasure, or any worldly thing that want my sight that should discern thereof? Ah, sir, I must leave you. The pain of mine eyes is so extreme, I cannot stay long in a place. I take my leave.
And exit fair M.
Zoons, what a cross is this to my conceit! But Valingford, search the depth of this devise. Why may not this be feigned subtlety by Mountney's invention, to the intent that I, seeing such occasion, should leave off my suit, and not any more persist to solicit her of love? I'll try the event, if I can by any means perceive the effect of this deceit, to be procured by his means. Friend Mountney, the one of us is like to repent our bargain.
And exit Valingford. End of the scene. End of, as noted here, Act 2. Yeah, all sorts of questions about what's going on with Fairem, and this blindness, as Lois brought up earlier. But I'm wondering, did she see him and was actually struck with love unexpectedly? And it's all so painful. I don't know. I don't know. I'm wondering about how that scene is played. All sorts of questions. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Eric first, then Lynn.
I was going to say that it's kind of, you can kind of imagine her going, "Who is that?" And like, the whole fake blind person. Yeah. "I cry you mercy, sir. I thought so by your speech," and trying to recognize him by hand, but like not actually looking at him, maybe even slapping him in the face by accident. That kind of, I don't know, that's the impression I get.
Yeah, there's all sorts of potential of dangerously overdone blind acting here. Lynn.
That's hilarious, that suggestion. So what I kind of think Emma's doing is that when she said to her other lover, Mountney, that I have no ears to hear you, or I can't hear you, she just meant, I'm ignoring you. I'm not. I'm la 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 la. I am deliberately not listening to you. He misinterpreted that to mean she's literally deaf, which gives her the idea to be literally blind in this scene. So we have a nice symmetry here. One of her lovers thinks that she can't see, but he's going to pay someone to fix that for her. One of her previous lover believes she can't hear, and he's going to pay someone to fix that for her. And they both say something extremely similar. Again, part of it's actually, I think, verbatim. If I can by any means perceive the effect, no, I'll try the event. I think maybe those were Mountney's exact words. So, and the scenes end the same way. If I find out that my rival is behind this, farewell our vows of friendship, somebody's going to be sorry for it. So, comically speaking, that's kind of a nice echo.
Other thoughts? We've only got one more scene this session to go, but it's a relatively, I say relative, as far as the player is concerned, long scene. Lois.
Just interesting that both men, their main reaction to the thought that she's either blind or deaf is, "Oh, how unfortunate for me."
Yeah. Yes, there's an awful lot of self for most of the characters, actually. Eric.
I feel like the what do you call it? The acts are quite quick and short, although there might be physical action also. But I mean, it's like, in other plays we would have been in Act 1, or like sort of like the end of Act 1 going into Act 2. But like this one is just very, getting to the point. Like it doesn't mess around with like sort of plot or it does mess around with plot, but it doesn't mess around in terms of like flowery language or anything.
Well, it's a short play. It is, and it is not hanging about. It is moving through the changes. We are not given time to think too deeply. We are in this session thinking inordinately more deeply about this play than I think this play intends us to do. You know, but it's still working very well so far. I think it's and there are sort of depths and questions that this play is bringing up very effectively. But yes, I really like Lynn's extension of that. You know, we're going from deaf to blind. And you know, she has got 4 suitors technically. You know, even if one's renounced her. Yeah, it's all go here. It's a busy old plot. All these people. They're not really doing much in the way of disguise anymore, though. All the disguises that were wafer thin.
What's that about?
Yeah, I think it was just travelling. I think when on the road they were in disguise, and you know nobody will know who they are here. Maybe they've dressed themselves down a bit, you know, just so the locals don't notice. Any other thoughts? First 2 acts so far. Okay, let's move on to Act 3, Scene 1, and we are back in Denmark, back over the seas. Enter Mariana and Marquis Lubeck.
Lady, since that occasion, forward in our good, presenteth place and opportunity, let me entreat your wonted kind consent and friendly furtherance in a suit I have.
My lord, you know you need not to entreat, but may command Mariana to her power, be it no impeachment to my honest fame.
Free are my thoughts from such base villainy, as may in question, lady, call your name. Yet it is the matter of such consequence, standing upon my honourable credit, to be affected with such zeal and secrecy, as should I speak and fail my expectation, I would redound greatly to my prejudice.
My lord, wherein hath Mariana given you occasion that you should mistrust, or else be jealous of my secrecy?
Mariana, do not misconstern of me. I not mistrust thee, nor thy secrecy, nor let my love misconster my intent, nor think thereof but well and honourable. Thus stands the case. Thou knowest from England hither came with me Robert of Windsor, a noble man at arms, lusty and valiant, in springtime of his years. No marvel then, though he prove amorous.
True, my lord, he came to see fair Lady Blanch.
No, Mariana, that is not it. His love to Blanche was then extinct when first he saw thy face. 'Tis thee he loves, yea, thou art only she that is mistress and commander of his thoughts.
Well, well, my lord, I like you, for such drifts put silly ladies often to their shifts. Oft have I heard you say you loved me well, yea, sworn the same, and I believed you too. Can this be found in action of good faith, thus to dissemble where you found true love?
Mariana, I not dissemble on mine honour, nor fails my faith to thee, but for my friend, for princely William, by whom thou shalt possess the title of estate and majesty, fitting thy love and virtues of thy mind. For him I speak, for him do I entreat, and with thy favour fully do resign to him the claim and interest of my love. Sweet Mariana, then deny me not. Love William, love my friend, and honour me. Who else is clean dishonoured by thy means?
Born to mishap, myself am only she on whom the sun of fortune never shined, but planets ruled by retrograde aspect foretold mine ill in my nativity.
Sweet lady, cease. Let my entreaty serve to pacify the passion of thy grief, which, well I know, proceeds of ardent love.
But Lubeck now regards not Mariana.
Even as my life, so love I Mariana.
Why do you post me to another then?
He is my friend, and I do love the man.
Then will Duke William rob me of my love?
No, as his life, Mariana, he doth love. As his life, Mariana, he doth love.
Speak for yourself, my lord, let him alone.
So do I, madam, for he and I am one.
Then loving you, I do content you both.
In loving him, you shall content us both. Me, for I crave that favour at your hands. He, for he hopes that comfort at your hands.
Leave off, my lord. Here comes the Lady Blanche.
And enter Blanch to them.
Hard hap to break us of our talk so soon. Sweet Mariana, do remember me.
And exit Lubeck. We're going to pause mid-scene. Wow. Is this courtly love culture really messing up these people's minds? Lynn.
Oh, my guess is because this is a comedy, that this is actually a love test. Although,
that's your thought.
Normally the audience is signaled about that first, but that's my guess. Is that Lubeck is testing her.
Or it could be a genuine one of those things, of he's my mate, and he's also the king.
Yeah.
So it might be entirely genuine. Either way, it's a scene with some drama to it. And he's clearly, or at least he should play it, in distress. I think it's really interesting if it is, as Lynn suggests, the fact that it's really not signposted is as a test is really interesting. But we'll find out, I suppose, more when we go on. That's a really playable scene. Whatever we think about, what's actually going on there, that's a scene.
Yeah.
You can really get your teeth into. And there's more to come. There's more to come. Other thoughts? Tamara's just going to stick with stroking the cat and say nothing. Does Sammy have any thoughts?
He's got a furball, I think.
Well, that's a critical assessment of the play so far.
I've got an opinion on it.
Anyone else? No. Eric, is that sort of halfway?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I wanted to say something because part of me wants to finish the scene, and then the other part just is like, okay, I'll jump in. Well, it's interesting how now each character wants something different. I mean, M is chasing Manvile. Manvile gave up or is pissed off for a while. He's having a strop, and then Trotter, Mountney, and Valingford are chasing M. And meanwhile, in a parallel universe, we have William and Lubeck who love Mariana, but Mariana is interested in Lubeck. It's just getting complicated. Lubeck loves Mariana, but it wants to give her to, well, according to what he's saying, at least, he wants to give her to the king. And Blanch is chasing the king, but we don't know exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, anyone at this stage want to dare make a prediction as to how this play ends? Those who haven't read ahead.
No.
And that's actually what I'm really enjoying here, is just going, anything can happen, people. I'm really hopeful that it doesn't end in a very disappointing fashion, which is very possible. But so far, yeah, it's setting up so many wonderful possibilities. Anybody else before we finish the scene? Okay, so we'll go from the exit of Lubeck. Mariana saying her line to his retreating back. I don't know if it's wistful or not, but who knows. Exit Lubeck. Mariana
cannot choose but remember thee.
Mariana, well met. You are very forward in your love.
Madam, be it spoken to yourself, if you will but follow the complot I have invented, you will not think me so forward as yourself shall prove fortunate.
As how?
Madam, as thus. It is not unknown to you that Sir Robert of Windsor, a man that you do not little esteem, hath long importuned me of love, but rather that then I will be found false or unjust to the Marquis Lubeck, I will, as did the constant Lady Penelope, undertake to effect some great task.
What of all this?
The next time that Sir Robert shall come in his wonted sort to solicit me love, I will seem to agree and like of anything that the knight shall demand. So far forth, as it be no impeachment to my chastity. And to conclude, point some place for to meet the man for my conveyance from the Denmark court, which determined upon, he will appoint some certain time for our departure, whereof you having intelligence, you may soon set down a plot to wear the English crown. And then...
What then?
If Sir Robert prove a king and you his queen, how then?
Were I assured of the one as I am persuaded of the other, there were some possibility in it. But here comes the man.
Madam, be gone, and you shall see. I will work to your desire and my content.
And exit Blanche as William enters.
Lady, this is well and happily met. Fortune hitherto hath been my foe, and though I have oft sought to speak with you, yet still I have been caught with sinister haps. I cannot, madam, tell a loving tale or court any mistress with my mistress with fabulous discourses, that I am a soldier sworn to follow arms. But this I bluntly let you understand. I honor you with such religious zeal as may become an honorable mind. Nor may I make my love the siege of Troy, that I am a stranger in this country. First, what I am, I know you are resolved, for that my friend hath let you that to understand, the Marquis Lubeck, to whom I am so bound, that whilst I live, I count me only his.
Surely you are beholden to the Marquis, for he hath been an earnest spokesman in your cause.
And yields my lady, then, at his request, to grace Duke William with her gracious love?
My lord, I am a prisoner, and hard it were for me to get from court.
An easy matter to get you from the court, if case that you will thereto give consent.
Put case I should, how would you use me then?
Not otherwise, but well and honourably. I have at sea a ship that doth attend, which shall forthwith conduct us into England, where, when we are, I straight will marry thee. We may not stay deliberating long, least that suspicion envious of our weal set in afoot to hinder our pretense.
But this I think were most convenient, to mask my face, the better to escape unknown.
A good device. Till then, farewell, fair love.
But this I must entreat your grace. You will not seek by lust unlawfully to wrong my chaste determinations.
I hold that man most shameless in his sin that seeks to wrong an honest lady's name, whom he thinks worthy of his marriage bed.
In hope your oath is true, I leave your grace till the appointed time.
And exit Mariana.
Oh, happy William, blessed in thy love, most fortunate in Mariana's love. Well, Lubeck, well, this courtesy of thine I will requite if God permit me life.
And he exits. So it's a substitution, we could call it a ship trick. You're going to turn up, you're going to get on board for, the sea voyage with, she'll be masks. It's all cunning, and it's all been very clearly signposted. There's no... the audience has been explicitly told this is a trick. It's interesting, Mariana, bit when she's doing and then what then, and it's like the drawing her into the plot element of and sort of going what happens then. Well, and then I'm interested in what then would be.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have some respect for Mariana, but she's laying this plot to pretend to go back to England with William, but she's going to have her friend marry him in secret so that, he'll be stuck. I mean, what could go wrong?
Well, from her point of view, it's a good plan because it gets him completely out of the way. the odds.
But it doesn't occur to her that Lubeck is going to catch wind of this and think it's true, and think she really is planning to run away with him.
Oh yes, that's true. That's true.
I will bet you 10 pounds a piece that that's what's going to happen. Is Lubeck is going to hear about this from William and go, "Oh, she took me at my word and is going to run away with my friend."
Well, we have a wager. We have a wager as to where it's going. Now, obviously, I can't take the wager, but because that would be unethical. But it is yes. There's still room for more complications, people. Who knows where this will all end? Will it all end with everyone living happily ever after, or will not? Who knows? What's going to happen with Fair M? There's still so many more complications to occur there with M. There's so much joy and happiness can occur there. Eric.
It's well, I hate to go back to Fulton's and Lucrece, but it's like that scene where the maid Ancilla is tying up the we don't know exactly what's happened, but they're tied. The two guys who are vying for her love are tied up, and it's you kind of hope that they won't get out of it because they deserve it.
Yeah, we kind of hope this plot will vaguely succeed, or do we? I mean, how are we feeling about Blanche in all this? Valentina, your face is not suggesting you're with this. Where are you at?
I think they're all terrible people. I think that's where I'm just going like, what is going on? It's like that kind of like thing like that on Reddit with like am I the arsehole? Like everyone is an arsehole in this situation. It's just like, and as with most soap operas, this plot is just making me want to smash my head on the wall. It's just ridiculous.
I think there's an element that we're thinking about the plot too much, and in real time this is barely 45 minutes action.
Yeah,
it's probably less than that.
The less you think of it, the more enjoyable it is.
Yeah, you've got to just go with the ride. Francis.
I think Lubeck seems to be quite a decent character. I mean, he's been very straight with Mariana.
Valentina is not agreeing with that.
What? After the last scene? Well, I mean, even if it was straight, bloody hell, it's just gone like, oh, by the way, I'm going to give it to my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a trick, he's a bit of an arsehole. If it's not a trick, he's a bit of an arsehole.
I'm not sure I agree, but anyway.
You're a wanker. You have your choice,
In a sense, he's honourable to his friend. Yeah, Helen.
Yeah, I'm going back to another fair maid, the fair maid of Fressingfield in Friar Bungay, where you'd got various people vying for the lady, and two of them had a duel and managed to kill each other. And there's always the possibility that the two spares chasing Fair M managed to kill each other in the process.
What's the film where everyone's standing there with guns to each other's faces in a sort of 3-4 way split?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, no, it's the film that Reservoir Dogs stole it from.
Right, that's kind of what I was thinking.
They stole it from Sheridan.
I know only Reservoir Dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Sheridan's
Either way, you're talking about a Mexican standoff.
Yeah. But I mean, this is reminding me quite a bit of Fair M. No, not of Fair M. It is Fair M. It's reminding me quite a bit of Friar Bungay.
Maybe that was
Friar Bacon and Friar Bungay
that we were talking about earlier. The one we couldn't remember.
Was that the one?
It would make. I mean, well, we're dealing again with this time period, 1590, 1591-ish, when Friar Bacon, also Orlando Furioso, with these guys just going crazy over some woman, who and being insanely jealous for apparently no reason. Seems to be the flavor of these years.
Yeah, and maybe a deliberate rival for another company's. They saw another company doing it, so we've got to have one of our own love thrown in. Yeah, I think the Orlando thing as well may cross over interestingly with Manville and his. He exits in a rage. I know he said he exit in a huff.
Yes, but we're not talking about the possibility of severed limbs being brandished.
Oh, you say that. Who knows? Who knows where this play's going? Nobody's died yet.
No.
Which is weird because it's William the Conqueror.
Yeah. Well, I think, to be fair, the dying is all done. The play opens with everybody's merry, apart from the miller. Conquest is over. Let's do some love. Okay. We're approaching extra time, so we'll do final thoughts on the room, predictions. Staging what we would do with this, and things. It is a bit difficult to tell what to do with this because we haven't got the end yet, and who knows where it's going. I will start with Tamara.
Okay. So far, I'm enjoying it, but it's. I think it's like Valentina said a little bit. It feels a little bit soapy. I brought up the Tudors because I felt like that was a period soap drama for me. So this is a little bit what this feels like. It's not quite. They're all horrible people, which tends to happen in soap operas. They tend to be quite horrendous. It's like a reality show. You can't have a decent person in the reality show. It's boring. And that's kind of how this play is with the men, certainly. Bearing in mind that the women don't seem to be super nice either. I'm having fun though. I'm actually having fun. There's problems in it from a modern perspective, but if you play it quick enough, which this seems to be doing, the text seems to suggest a massive speed. The audience is probably not going to notice until they're discussing it over dinner.
Well, I'm not sure that it has problems for a modern audience. It is raising issues that a modern audience will agree. The problem will come is how it resolves it. It's fine that it's raised all of these issues because all the men are really quite universally really problematic. But the play so far seems to be quite critical of them. And that gives us lots of scope in the playing of it. It is going to be really where we end up tomorrow, where we land on that.
I think it depends what the female characters do, because so far there is just so much misogyny and toxic masculinity from the guys that's why I'm saying I think it's slightly problematic. Yeah,
but then they do seem to have mostly, apart from Blanch, at least some agency on their side. In the way that we were problems we were having with Ralph Royster Doyster was, they had to defer to the husband, had to be proved, and he didn't automatically believe, and it was sort of the play needed that approval from him and proof from him and to be demonstrated, and so far they don't care actually in their own selves in the same way, but yes. Lois, final thoughts?
Well, I don't have much to say on this one, really. I think it moves extremely fast, and the various patterns would be funnier in a production that went straight through. I mean, the fact that there is so much repetition of the same situation, and one person in disguise overhearing somebody else in disguise who overhears somebody else in disguise, and the blind deaf thing, and so on. I mean, I think all that is, it's like farce. You're aware of the pattern, and there's not, I think, meant to be any character development or anything like that. And it only works because everybody behaves like an idiot, so that they can keep doing all these crazy things.
Yes, I have to say, in my mind, I was thinking more farce, comedy side of things, that not landing on the serious edge. I think there is probably more character development here than we probably looked at. I mean, it's all still done with a very light pen, but I do get a sense of who everyone is quite quickly, which is quite nicely done. Alan, final thoughts?
It's not a genre that I particularly enjoy. I think it would have to be made at pace, but whether it's worth the effort for doing it is moot.
Alan's not a fan of comedies.
Not a fan.
So we'll take that under advisement. Eric, final thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a comedy, so like it's sort of at pace, it's at full pace, it would be funny, but you know, if you obviously overthink it, as we've said, it just kind of ends up being sort of falling flat on its face. Also because of the misogyny, and like, you know, times have changed kind of. But it's also kind of, part of me is like, sort of, you know, the women do deserve to take revenge for all this asshattery, whatever you want to call it, that the men are doing. But I think it's just like, I'm used to, you know, sort of that genre on TV.
Yeah. I'd love to say that the men have changed, but that's probably why we might struggle with elements of this. Lynn, final thoughts?
It's a little, the plot's a little complicated for my taste. I mean, the complication can be really amusing, but this maybe goes a little far. But I am kind of, I must confess, enjoying the fact that the upper class men are coming off so poorly. It's just really not afraid to lampoon dukes and earls and lords and knights and their overblown sense of self and their skittishness and their overreactions to perceived threats to their budding relationships. And even though, I mean, I think Valentina's right. Even the women don't come off particularly well. I think they do come off a little better. And I don't think we can find fault with M so much. Yeah. So, you know, I thought at the beginning, it's like, why is this called Fair M? Why is it named after the lowest status female character? Maybe it's because she's the only person who's not really kind of unlikable.
Yeah, I don't know that Mariana's unlikable either. I mean, but I think Blanch is tricksy as a character because she is just a bit wet. But you know, of the three female characters, I should point out, you know, we've got a reasonably good hit rate in terms of who they are. Francis, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Not as much as some other plays we've done, but I'm enjoying it. And I agree with Lynn. The plot is complicated with all these threads, but I am managing to follow it. So I think, yeah, I think that's good. What else? Yeah, I'm very interested to see how it all turns out in the end.
Dan, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the play. I actually really liked the comparison to the Tudors, because to me it's funny because it's true, not because you're playing it up so farcically. I think actually playing it honestly is for me personally, I think it'd be a stronger choice, because I think that these are all characters, while we think that they're ridiculous. In fact, this represents quite a few people I know, that probably what they're thinking, maybe they don't act on it, but they certainly have possibly those intentions, or at least really want to, but are too afraid to do it. I don't think it really necessarily needs to be played at pace. I think it can be played honestly, and it's ringing. It's something I think the audiences can really resonate with. That would really resonate rather with audiences. Things that I'm interested in chasing up is the relationship with Friar Bungay, because apparently there is, from things I've read about Fair M, there is a connection to it that supposedly Fair M possibly had borrowed from it a little bit. Also, it is, just speaking quickly about the printer, John Danter, who had also printed Orlando and had also printed Old Wives' Tale from last week. And the overly descriptive stage directions is just something I'm really noticing here. And I'm wondering just if anybody's ever chased that up or anybody's even interested in the relationship with the printer, with play, and how it's being, I guess, how it's being represented there.
Excellent. Valentina, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm very much in two minds about this, and I think it is because I do agree with Dan. I think like you could play it honestly, and it would still make sense. My problem is that if you play it farcically, I'll probably laugh along and I'll be fine with that, and really enjoy it. But if you play it honestly, I think it'll be really hard to watch. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, which I think it might be maybe a sensitivity on my part, I don't know, but I actually think the playing blind and playing deaf in today's time, not a great choice. I don't think there's been any kind of sensitivity towards it. I think it's just been put aside. It's not a thing that you see that often, and I think it would be in a farce, yes, but honestly, it would just put M in a bit of a weird light for me. That's it.
Helen, final thought.
Well, I like it. I'm really enjoying its total weirdnesses. There seems to be they never do anything once. I mean, there seems to be far too much of everything. I was interested in what Lynn had to say about the possibility of this being a love test, because that hadn't occurred to me, and I got lost with that in Friar Bacon and Friar Bungay, because I hadn't spotted the love test, and so I got very, very cross with that ending.
Yes, they didn't flag it up there either, did they?
No. And after what Dan has said about the printer, I'm now beginning to wonder if, in fact, we have a much stronger. I mean, I spotted a connection with Bacon and Bungay just from the plot and the text and the feel of it. But if there is a real connection, then I think it's well worth pursuing. But no, I mean, I like this. The one thing that I'm missing is any sense of what Blanche looks like, because the description we've had of her from William, I don't somehow feel is real, but it makes a big difference to the play, to what Blanche actually looks like. I mean, obviously women are judged entirely on how they look and not whether they're not the content of their character. But nevertheless, I think it will make a big difference to what Blanche actually looks like.
Lois.
Yeah, it's the same problem we had with the Dr. Dotterpool, isn't it? I mean, there were these two daughters, and one was apparently supposed to be hideous, but then it wasn't really discussed very much, and we weren't sure whether she was or wasn't. I think also the Old Wives' Tale, doesn't that have these two daughters that one is beautiful but nasty and the other is ugly but nice or something? I don't know if for some reason this seems to be it's a fairy tale theme, obviously, but it is rather curious that we've got it here, and it is an interesting question. Just what did they do on the stage? Did they expect the description to do all the work, or did they make her up to look hideous, or what?
Or was it not a boy player? It was a very noticeably large chap in a dress. It's that. It's a good question. I do not have the answer, and so I was saying it would make a very awkward casting call if we took it from the text. So deciding what to do with that is important. I found it really interesting that people have been saying that it's got a complicated plot, and I don't see that it does. Everybody loves M. Everybody, everybody loves Mariana. some stuff happens around that. If anything, it's got an almost too simple plot of around which stuff happens. But actually, in terms of plotting, it's incredibly simple, and we're just seeing variations on a theme. Well, I think there we have to leave it, because really, with a play like this, it is going to be about whether it sticks the landing or not. It is set up so many things which have a great deal of potential, things that have a great deal of actual surprising level of connection with us today, which it really now comes down to intent. If this play is genuinely critical of many of the things it's describing, then it does have a place. If it fudges the ending, then we might have to make interventions. But we won't know until tomorrow. All that remains is to thank all the readers here today for all their time and their word sayingness, and farewell.
Bye.
Bye.